Good evening. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your evening with us and allowing us to share our stories with you. To be brutally honest, I feel you are courageous this evening because not many people are willing to pay to hear about cancer stories. So kudos to you. Thank you. My name is Kate Hockford, and I am your last storyteller. So really what that means is I stand between you and the raffles. So I will make it fast, okay? So what is a story? A story is an account of a past event or occurrence in your life that moved you. They can be funny, scary, romantic. Stories run the gamut. My story pretty much starts like everyone else's of previous that we've heard. I have cancer. And the words, "you have metastatic cancer," honestly was pretty crazy to hear. And to tell you the honest truth, it's still pretty crazy to say. But I left my career to pursue life with my two daughters at the time. Their ages were 8 and 5, and my wonderful husband. And I have to tell you, what a ride it has been. My first act of courage, if you will, was to start a local nonprofit. It began with a small gift card given to a woman to take a few hours off from cancer. It is now a full-fledged organization, and I want to tell you, please, I am not advocating for you to create a nonprofit every time you feel something deep in your heart. It's a lot of work. I have mastered the ability to create websites. And when I refer to a plugin, I am not referring to the Glade plugins that make your house smell better. And having said that, I'm going to give you a little public service announcement. Do not take your mail for granted. Trying to master the bulk mailing process will kill me. But thankfully, I do have a great partner, Mary McGarvey, who helps me, and she's very generous, and I'm definitely blessed. But speaking of blessings of partners, my next act of courage was to go into business with my husband of over 20 years as landlords. We purchased rental property. They all required repair. So before my arm was like this, I kind of look like the Hulk. I wear this lovely frock, so you can't see it. It is the byproduct of cancer. I was remodeling kitchens and painting walls and installing bathrooms, and I was all in. I did stay away from the electrical because if you know me, I'm kind of dopey. Like, I probably won't switch the little switch off and things will be bad. But I am a very good plumber. Of course, I will swear by the rule, cut once and measure twice. But to be brutally honest, I am still impressed, Mike, that you and I are still married. And after all the renovations and happily, so we are happily married, might I add. Another opportunity came my way by chance. When my kids were little, they were taking skiing lessons, and every Saturday at Willard. And so I was there every Saturday at Willard. And because I was just hanging out, sometimes they'd ski, they said, "Hey, do you want to be a ski instructor?" Of course! I was like, sign me up. Yes! My first assignment was to teach 3- and 4-year-olds. This in and of itself is phenomenal. None of these kids want to be strapped to toothpicks on their legs, and they careen down. And if you know anything about skiing, you're supposed to snow plow, and they don't even really know what that is, and pizza, and they could care less. And then they're all on top of one another, and then us adults are also in our ski attire, complete with boots, and it's always icy, and you're pulling the 3-year-olds off one another. And did I mention that when you try to pull a 3-year-old off of another 3-year-old, it's like a sack of potatoes. My back ached way more often than not during that short-lived adventure. I then set off to be a cashier at our local Whole Foods. I actually loved this position. I got to talk to everyone, and as you can tell, I like to do that. And I would ask them about all their exotic ingredients as I scanned them across my scanner. What are you making tonight? And what is this? And I loved it. And I even worked on Mother's Day, and I'm a mother. So there you go. So you're probably asking, why did I leave? Well, I caught the flu. And I was asked by my doctor to take 2 weeks off from work. So like a dutifully employee, I called in sick and stated that I wouldn't be back for 2 weeks. The gal taking the instructions said, "How do you know you need 2 weeks to get better?" So I said, well, my doctor said I can't go back for 2 weeks. I gotta take my antibiotics, and I start going into this whole thing, and I'm like, I have a low white blood count, and blah, 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 right? And she's just hearing blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Little side note, the antibiotics that I was taking also kills the bubonic plague. So I didn't know the plague was still around, so maybe that's another PSA for you. But to finish my story about Whole Foods, the gal thought I was lying, and I was sent to talk with someone at corporate via phone. I decided this was more than I needed, so I left amicably. Though I may have quit Whole Foods, I had one last career stint in me. I was a school lunch lady. Actually, I was really the dishwasher. I had to tell this cute, shy 7th grader who would come by every day to talk to me that she did not want to hang out with me. She was going to get a bad reputation. I said, you never want to be known as the kid who hangs out with the lunch lady, or worse, the dishwasher. As you can see, I either love life or I have ADHD. It does not matter. I like to try new things. And during this time, Mike and I started to hike, and we accomplished the Lake George 12 and a few peaks in the Adirondacks. And I know you're all rolling your eyes right now going, she's gonna say she's a 46er. No, not so fast, friends. No. First off, I do not want to bushwhack. That's a lot of work. I don't want to do that. And secondly, the Catskill Mountain trails typically have a brewery at the end of the trail. So Mike and I hike the Catskills. You should probably know that if I'm standing next to you in line in the grocery store, we will be talking. I will ask you, what are you having there, or what are you making? And to know me is to know that one of my many mottos is to get through the week, you need something to look forward to. It can be as big as a ski vacation in Breckenridge or as simple as a cocktail after raking leaves. I believe in celebrating everything. My first diagnosis was at age 37, where I had 2 toddlers to care for and was completing my MBA. I remember telling my oncologist that I did not have time for this. And yet, here I am on my 10 years into my second diagnosis of metastatic breast cancer. Did I let it stop me? No, not once. Life is not what happens to you, but what you make life happen. The past 10 years has been actually golden for me because I have had the courage to pursue new things. And that is my story. NYOH and the Foundation. You guys are fantastic.